Today we're talking about transitioning to high school. So typically what parents do is that when it comes to preparing their kids for high school, they look for a good school, they pay the fees, they buy uniforms, then a day before school starts they give a very big lecture about transitioning to high school to their kids. But that is not sufficient. Your kid is not going to learn all the important attitudes, all the important skills, and get all the requisite information overnight. It's supposed to be a process. So I recommend that you actually start the process of teaching them and preparing them for the high school, even the first term of grade 7. In grade 7, your child was used to being the boss. They were the seniors, they were dictating the pace. But now they're going to be going into a completely new environment where they're going to be the juniors, and there's going to be other kids who are older than them, and they will be open to the influence of those other kids who are older. And usually this influence is negative. So it's important that you actually sit your child down and prepare them adequately. One other thing that makes the transition to high school really hard for your kids is that it is a time that coincides with the peak of puberty. And we all know that puberty is known for the raging hormones. This is the time that they're most likely going to start dating. This is the time where they're going to be very vulnerable to addictions, pornography, masturbation, and even drugs. So it's important that you adequately prepare them. Number one thing you need to prepare your kids for when they start high school is puberty. Like I said, because of puberty, they're going to start crushing and they're going to start wanting to date. So you need to have the discussion with them before they get into the zone. And then another thing is homosexuality. I know that a lot of parents don't know this, but your child is most likely going to be asked out by another child of the same sex, especially if they're going to be going into a same-sex school environment. If it's going to be a girls-only school or a boys-only school, then chances that your child is going to be asked out by another child of the same sex is very high. So you need to have the discussion about homosexuality with your child before they start high school. I actually had an incident. So a mom discovered that her daughter had been involved. She was in a relationship with another girl and they'd actually been sexually active. And then she confronted the school. The school acknowledged that such a thing had happened and promised to take action. But after a while, the school didn't do anything about it. And later it turned out that the school chose their reputation over dealing with the issue, with the situation, because they thought if they were going to report the issue to the ministry, the school was going to be known for such things. And then at the end of the day, parents were not going to trust the school. So I want to tell you that this is something that's happening at almost each and every school, and you need to have a conversation with your son or with your daughter about it. Otherwise, they're going to go there and they will be involved in it. And then another thing that I've discovered is that many parents love to buy their kids phones as grade 7 presents. So a child passes the grade 7 and then the parent buys a phone as a present, but you buying your child a phone at a time when hormones are raging, at a time when they're loving to experiment, at a time when they are free because they're not going to school, they're just waiting to go to high school. So most probably they're going to be abusing that phone. Sexting may start, they may also start looking for pornography, and they're exposed to a lot of things. So just buying a phone and giving your child in grade 7 because you think they're now mature isn't good enough. You need to actually sit them down and set ground rules before you give them that phone. Another thing that you need to start teaching your child in preparation for high school is money management, especially if they're going to be going to a boarding school environment, because for the first time they're going to have a lump sum of money and they will need to learn how to use it. They will need to learn basics like budgeting. They will need to learn basics like surfing, because maybe whilst they were still in primary school, you were basically taking care of everything for them. But now for the first time, they're going with money and they need to learn how to use it for the rest of the term. So it's something that you need to teach them. There's something that's known as family democracy also, where in making family decisions, you involve your children. You give them an opportunity to say what they think. You give them an opportunity to also give their input. If you teach them to do that early, then by the time that they go to high school, they would have learned that their decision matters, their opinion matters. So that's going to reduce their chances of being bullied or being swayed by peer pressure, because they will know that they have a voice, they have an opinion, and they can say what they want and they can stick out for themselves. Because in high school, they're very prone to bullying, especially same-sex schools. There are initiation programs that these schools do, normally conducted by prefects. And in this initiation processes, your children may be exposed to bullying. So it's important that before they go to high school, you warn them about this, and you also teach them through the family democracy thing to be assertive, so that when they get in situations like this, they'll be able to stick up for themselves, they'll be able to speak for themselves, and they'll be able to report the bullying. So for today, that's all I had for you. Next week, we will continue, and I'll share with you some more tips on how best you can actually prepare your child for high school. My name is Coach Tefadzwa, and this is Tinted. Thanks for watching. Bye.